Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Devils in God's Country. I'm one of your hosts, Casper Rigsby, with my lovely, talented co host, Miss Allie Jackson. Say hi, Miss Allie.
Hi.
Um, Tonight's topic that we're going to talk about is pretty much centered around Christian terrorism in the United States. And we're going to start off by talking about these militia members who are occupying a federal building in Oregon. And I want to talk a little bit about why the mainstream media is very standoffish to call these people what they are, which is terrorists. Um, and I'd also like to mention an article that deals with what happened when black people tried to do the same thing just a little while ago, and how that response went. Because it highlights some really interesting things about the nation we live in here. So, for those of you who have missed it, because it was very easy to miss, not very much mainstream media attention, um, the exact numbers are unclear, but there are a group of militia members, including Amon Bundy, one of the sons of Cliven Bundy, who was involved in a standoff with the federal government last year over a land dispute. Um, One of his sons is involved in this, and they've basically gone in armed to the teeth um, to take over a federal bird reserve. I think like a I don't know, some sort of area where they like making sure that people don't disturb bird habitats or stuff. Anyway, it's a federal land um, controlled by the federal government. Basically, for all intents and purposes, it's a state park. Living in Tennessee, we've got a lot of those. We've got a lot of federal and state parks here, run by the federal government, run by the state. It's their land, and it's basically in the interest of preserving, actual land instead of trying to pave over the entire fucking planet, which is a good thing. I'm definitely a conservationist at heart when it comes to the environment and taking care of the land, and making sure that other species have a right to exist on this planet besides our greedy little selves. Um, so they basically they came up in here and they took over this unprotected little building in Oregon, and it seems trivial. Honestly, it's a small little building, middle of nowhere in Oregon. Like, no one was hurt. I'll go ahead and emphasize that. No one was injured. No shots have been fired. Nothing like that. Um, the thing that stands out though is that this is a group of armed white men who walked into a federally protected and federally owned area at a federal building, and just basically took it over. And the response to this by law enforcement and the FBI in general has been to what seems to amount to me is ignore it. Uh, it's as if they have no real urgency about themselves to resolve the situation at all. Um, and it's an odd thing because not that long ago, last year, a young black boy was shot to death by police officers for having a toy gun, and those officers were recently acquitted of all charges, and they got to just go about their day like nothing happened. And that's been the case that we've seen over the last year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Um, a black person with a gun is automatically a thug, and a white man with a gun is automatically a patriot. And there's a real problem with that. There's a huge double standard there that needs to be addressed. And we also look at the issue of these men are supposedly saying that God was unhappy with the situation. And so they're doing the Lord's work now. And oddly enough, this is eerily reminiscent to the type of shit that I hear from fucking ISIS. I honestly don't see a difference. I'm sorry. But it's because it's a Christian God. Now it's okay. Yeah, obviously that God's talking to these dudes, but the fucking Muslim God. No, that's bullshit. They're just fucking terrorists. Like, why is that? What do you think that is, Allie? What do you think is fucked up in people's heads that they can't make the connection?
And I have no idea. I think figuring out that is the key to ending this whole racist, savage behavior that we have. That you mentioned that little boy who was shot by holding a fake pistol. It wasn't a fake pistol. It was like a little BB gun. Mind you, that he probably found in his parents' house and was like, "Oh, I'm going to take this to the park and I'm going to have some fun with it." And if anybody saw what happened to that little boy, police officers drove up to where he was in the park, totally minding his own business, and they immediately started shooting before anything. Okay, so there wasn't any like put the gun down, nothing. They pull up and they just start blasting on this 12-year-old little boy for playing with mommy and daddy's BB at a park. It was sick. It was sick to me. That was savage. In no way, if you become a police officer, and I love police officers. Okay, I have great experience with police officers, probably because I'm white, and that really sucks. But if you're going to be a police officer, your job is to protect people, and not yourself. So while you do need to be concerned about yourself, your job is to be concerned about other people and then yourself. And anyone can say what they want. No, that's not right. Allie, you're wrong. That's the way it was supposed to be. That is why people become a police officer. It's fucking dangerous. All right? And you know it's fucking dangerous. And whenever you take that job and you say, I'm here to serve and protect the people, that means that you're there to serve and protect the people. It does not mean that you get to walk up to a little child holding a fucking gun and you get to shoot him because you're trying to save yourself. Oh, I have to protect myself. I have to protect myself. No. You needed to protect that 12-year-old boy, and you needed to protect the people who you thought he was endangering. So, I'm sickened by it. I'm absolutely fucking sickened. And we live in the South, right? You and I both. I live in Texas. And here in Texas, we just changed the law on the 1st of January, where you get to open carry like anywhere, right? It's not just rifles. It's not just limited to that anymore. You get to go open carry everywhere. So I'm concerned because the tiny little town I live in here in Texas has a very large African-American population. And I'm scared. If they start walking down the street, are the police going to shoot them because they have their gun out? It's the law. They're allowed to do it. And I'm scared for the people here that this is going to turn into an issue just because we set up laws in this country that seem to pertain to white people and not to anybody else. So figuring out the key as to why we find that okay, why we think that's right, that's going to be the key to ending all of this. Because if we don't want to see an African American walking down the street open carrying, then first of all, it's fucked up, and you're fucked up. Because if that's the law, they're allowed to do it. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to see a white person open carrying down the street. I don't want to see anybody open carrying down the street. So for me, I say let's get rid of these laws. But if these laws are going to be okay for white people, and we're just going to go around shooting black people, and if it's okay if white patriots, and what they really are, they're sovereign citizens. Okay, a lot of these nut jobs are sovereign citizens that believe that God is their law. They can make up their own laws. They have their own land. This is their land. Their car is their property. Everything is their property. They don't have to abide by the government and what they have to say. These sovereign citizens are terrorists, and I don't care what the color of their skin is. We need to figure out how to treat them the same way we would treat anybody else. So I just, I can't believe, I just, in 2016, we're still a country where race gets to dictate if you can break the law or not, or if you can follow the law and get shot. Anyways, so I'm disgusted. Quite honestly, I'm pretty disgusted with the whole situation.
Well, you mentioned the open carry issue, and the fucked up thing with the young boy who was murdered is he was in an open carry state. The state he was murdered in is an open carry state. If that had been a white dude with a gun in the park, at worst, the police would have said, "Sir, do you have do you have permission to have that weapon? Is that weapon registered?" At worst, at, more than likely, there would have been nothing said, and like, well, it's his fucking right. This is open carry state. He can carry his gun wherever he wants. So yeah, it's already a problem. You know, what you fear may happen in Texas, that is already a problem, and we've seen it clearly how it plays out. A 12-year-old boy was murdered instantaneously. The
No
police
shit.
officers did not even let the car stop. The car had not even come to a complete stop before that cop jumped out of the car and shot that kid to death. Then they immediately handcuff his sister and throw her in the back of the car while he sits there and bleeds to death. Are you kidding me? But
You
that's
know,
okay.
I'm scared too because my oldest son, who is gay, is also darker skinned, right? So he's way darker than me, and I'm scared for him personally because he's getting older now, and he went walking out of the house in a hoodie with his hood on, and it was kind of closed up. And whenever we went to the store, he also has this one that zips over his face. He can see through the eye holes, and he looks like Darth Vader. And people were looking at him like scared. People were scared, and they were looking at him. And I was like, honey, you're gonna have to unzip that. You're gonna have to take that off because I didn't want anyone to call the police. Did you see that one where this guy I think he was African American. He might have been like dark skinned. I don't know, but he was in Walmart and he had picked up a toy rifle and he was walking up and down the aisles and someone called the police in Walmart. This is an item they fucking goddamn sell. And somebody called the police. They went charging into Walmart, charging down the aisle. It was in just shooting them. And that's just so fucked up. That is so beyond fucked up because I have never heard of that happening to a white person. I've never heard of that. Never heard of that happening, period. But I mean, if anyone wants to sit here and say that race played no part in that, and that was all absolutely about consumer safety at that moment. They didn't know he had picked it up there in Walmart. Well, then Walmart doesn't need to be selling guns, okay? And I absolutely believe that the color of his skin played a large role in his death, in his ultimate death. And we don't hear about it on the news, and the news, of course, wants to get our attention. They want to give us the interesting shit. But we see this stuff, and what do we do about it? Who's doing anything to stop this? It's it's sad. It's really sad, and I'm guilty. I don't know what to do to stop it. The most you and I can do is get it out there and talk about it. But it's sad. I'm worried for my son because he's a darker colored skin, and I don't want him to have a gun or walk up and down the street in a gun or with a hoodie on and somebody want to attack him.
Yeah, it's a really fucked up situation because these men that are occupying this federal fucking building, these are the same type of people that want to fucking tell everyone in this country that we can't possibly let Syrian refugees into this country because they're going to come here and all fucking murder us because they're all terrorists. They're the problem. We have to make sure this problem doesn't come to our shores. Motherfucker, we've already got a problem on our shores. It's called you. You're the fucking problem. You're already here. Let's deal with you. That's what I want to. I want to deal with you and everybody like you and the fucking Planned Parenthood murderer and fucking terrorist, another Christian fucking terrorist, given to us at the end of last year. I want to deal with that fucking problem. And when we talk about if someone's mentally stable or not, of course, mental stability has a lot to do with issues such as the Planned Parenthood shooting. Yes, this man is obviously mentally unstable, but to not label him for what he is based on his own testimony is just erroneous. I mean, it's horrible. Why not? Why does he not get the label of a Christian terrorist when in fact he murdered people in the name of his fucking religion and his God? That's what fucking happened. He said he was fucking fighting as a soldier for God to save the lives of babies and to avenge dead babies in the name of his God. That's point blank period what he said from his own fucking mouth, and he committed a terroristic act. That makes him a Christian terrorist. I have no problem calling out a Christian terrorist, just like I have no problem calling out a Muslim terrorist.
Have you
know?
ever heard of anyone in our country labeling someone as a Christian terrorist? Can you think of
Other
one
than
thing?
in our little circles, yeah, other than our little circles, no. I mean, certainly not in mainstream media. Mainstream media, you never hear about Christian terrorism, ever. Like, that's not even a thing. In fact, even Ted Cruz said, no, there's no such thing as Christian terrorists. You're fucking kidding me? What else are these people? Oh, they're just lone
It's,
wolves or
it's
mentally
funny
disturbed people.
because exactly with anybody else, I have heard countless times Muslim terrorist, even over things that aren't, I mean, they're bad acts, but I mean, like, are you serious? We're labeling them this for that. And you recall, I know you remember the atheist who killed those 3 Muslims. And I even hate labeling it as the atheist that killed the 3 Muslims, because that's absolutely not what that was about. It was about a parking space. So it was about the crazy guy who was obsessed with his parking space, who killed his neighbors. That's really what that whole entire thing was. He was labeled an atheist terrorist, right? I saw that reported. So they scoured his social media. They found, oh, he doesn't like Islam. Oh, he doesn't like Islam. Atheist terrorist. That's why he killed these 3 budding, beautiful human beings. When no, the fact of the matter is he killed those 3 beautiful, budding human beings because he was fucking insane, right? He was fucking insane. I've many times had my parking lot stolen, and yes, a parking lot that I'd spend $75 a month on, I've had stolen. So yes, I get that it's frustrating. Okay, especially if it's snowing or you're tugging around tiny little children, you're having to carry up groceries. I get that it's frustrating, but the guy was fucking insane. And even though it had nothing to do with his atheism and it had nothing to do with them being Muslims, he was still labeled an atheist terrorist. So we see that everyone else gets the label in America, but when it comes to the special holy little religion of Christianity, nobody gets that rightful title, and that is really fucked up. Because the Planned Parenthood thing, that is absolutely an act of terrorism right here in our country by our citizens. These are things, like you said, that we absolutely need to be focused on. These are the things that we want to not let in our borders right here, that we already have in our borders. I get so sick when I see, I still have friends on my friends list somehow that don't want to see the refugees come into our, oh, we can't let them in here with their terrorism and their this and that. The terrorism's here. It's here. You're the terrorist.
It's been here for quite some time. It's like people totally fucking block out the fucking Oklahoma bombings and fucking Rudolph and the fucking Unabomber. Like, that didn't happen. Like, those things didn't even fucking happen. And they act like, oh, well, 9/11, so obviously we're under attack. Dude, we've been attacked 1,000 times more by our own people than we have by an outside agent. I'm not saying let's ignore the outside agent, but what I am saying is we already have a fucking problem and no one's willing to address it. Like why are we the people talking about this?
Right.
And it's because these people are Christians. It's because these people are right wingers. It's because they're protected by fucking political ideology and religious ideology that says, oh no, well, they're just patriots, and no, these are Christian people standing up for their Christian values. That's the same thing that fucking supporters of ISIS in Muslim countries say about ISIS. Well, these are just good Muslims. These are patriots that are trying to take back their country from the oppressive Western regime. That it's the same fucking rhetoric. How can people not see that? If you're gonna fucking bash one side of the rhetoric, then you have to acknowledge the other and say, yeah, that's fucked up too. You don't get to play that card. It's not a fucking a trump card. It's not.
Well, and what's really frustrating too is you and I talking about it. No one's going to see this as, oh, they're right. This is Christian terrorism, because what they're going to see is, oh, those are just atheists hating on Christians, and no, no, we're just calling a spade here. If you take your gun and for your God and your belief, your whatever, you take your gun and you go off and you kill people, or you go off and you take some place over, you're a fucking terrorist. I don't care. And that's the thing is, if we want to quit throwing the religion label on it, I'm cool with that. We can absolutely quit throwing the religion label on it and just leave you as terrorist. But if we do that for you, we got to do that for everybody. So let's quit calling the atheist terrorist. Let's quit calling them Muslim terrorists, and let's just call them what they are. They're terrorists. And I think that maybe that's the route of dialogue that we need to start opening up here, is just removing that first label and calling them absolutely for what they are, which is a fucking terrorist. You're a fucking terrorist. Hey, guy who blew up the people there at Planned Parenthood, you're a fucking terrorist. And maybe that's the dialogue that we need to start seeing here.
Yeah, most definitely. And the thing is, I always want to make people understand that the moment you show me an atheist that goes out and murders a bunch of people or bombs an organization or something like that, and does it because he says, no, religion is fucking terrible, like shoots up a church, bombs a church, whatever, and says, I did this because religion is terrible and fucking I hate religion and this is my answer to it, and I'm doing this because of my atheist, leanings and ideological stance, I will most certainly be the first one to label that motherfucker an atheist terrorist. Happily. I will call a spade a spade. Just because you wear the label of atheist does not mean you get special treatment from me. Why does that happen with Christians? Why does that happen with Muslims? Oh, well, it's not a terrorist because Islam, or because Christianity. And no, it's still a terrorist. Like, they're still terrorists. And some people are saying, okay, well, what's going on in Oregon? This isn't actually terrorism because they haven't hurt anybody. What I'd say to those people is, you don't understand what terrorism is, because terrorism does not necessarily mean violence. Okay? Terrorism takes place on many different levels, and the main level on which terrorism takes place, the main point of terrorism, is to terrorize people, to make them afraid and fearful. Okay? And you do that through emotional and mental manipulation. And yes, you can use violence to do that, but you don't have to. You don't have to actually commit any violent act, and you can still be a terrorist. What these people are doing is a terrorist action. They want people to be afraid. They want the federal government in particular to be afraid of what could happen. That is an act of terrorism. They are trying to terrorize the federal government. Okay? That's the facts. And when you get right down to it, most of these people are on fucking welfare, or they're receiving government kickbacks and checks, and they're happy to take these checks. They're happy to collect tax dollars from you and I, and use that to their benefit. But the moment the federal government steps in and says, look, there are regulations, you can't do this, this is not your land, this is not your property, you don't own this, therefore you can't do it, Then they're like, oh no, I'm a patriot. I'm going to stand up to the federal government. Cut off their fucking checks. Well, if you don't want to be a part of this country, that's cool. Get the fuck out. This is how the country runs. I don't like a lot of the laws in this country. I don't. Marijuana prohibition in this country is one of the most detrimental and harmful things to ever happen in this nation, in my personal opinion. I absolutely hate marijuana prohibition laws. I think it's the stupidest shit. And the entire point of marijuana prohibition was to privatize prisons and to turn them into prisons and police into big business and a corporate venture that is able to bring in a lot of funds for the federal government. That if you do your research, it's almost impossible not to come to that conclusion. That's the reality of the situation. But you don't see me out here growing pot behind my fucking house, and when the fucking cops show up, having a goddamn armed standoff with them, you know, because it's illegal. It's illegal for me to fucking grow pot behind my house, no matter how I feel about it, no matter how much I disagree with it. If I want that to change, there's a proper course of action. I have to go to the government. I have to petition the government to change the laws so that it is no longer illegal, and so that something which is technically a violation of my constitutional rights can be taken care of in a calm and peaceful manner according to the laws and according to the Constitution of the United States. That is the proper course of action. If you are unhappy with the laws, you change the laws. You do not enact terrorism in order to evince the government to act on your behalf. That's not how this country works. It's not. We went through that once. We had a huge war with England to gain our freedom and our independence. And then we set up a constitution to protect that. So now there's a legal way to do it. There's a proper procedure. And if you're not going to do that, you're a fucking criminal. Period.
Yeah, and let's not forget that we also have cults set up all over the country that don't agree with the laws of the country, and so they do their own thing in their own land. For a great example, I went to go visit the Seventh-day Adventists up in Waco. And it was phenomenal. Where it used to be, you were able to go there to look at the memorials and go in their property. You cannot anymore. And I had to set up an interview with them to be able to enter onto their property. And that whole experience, I could talk about that for another 2 hours, but the whole experience was scary as fuck, because two trucks came driving up to the gate. The gate was covered in warning signs: no trespassing, hunting in progress, meaning basically in Texas, we'll fucking shoot you if we catch you on our property, and claim it was hunting, and we had the sign up, and you know better. There were tripwires everywhere beyond the gate, so it was scary. And the two trucks pull up. They let me enter with my vehicle, but I had to stop, and I had to leave everything up at the front of their gate entrance. One guy stayed behind where he left the gate open so that I couldn't claim that they had kidnapped me, was their exact reason for leaving the gate open, yet not allowing me my keys or access to my vehicle. And we went around to half of the entire complex before they asked me to leave, because what had happened to them before was they were stockpiling guns and illegal guns, and they were having them there illegally, which ended in this huge, brutal, fight between the police and their people. I think like 76 people were killed or something like that. It was terrible. And they have a church built up there now that sits over the you have to go quite a ways from the gate to where the church is, but they have a box up there above the garage door that opens to the church, and in that box somebody sits 24 hours a day. Someone is always sitting watch, and they're watching out on that road. and they all have walkie-talkies. So I'm curious, is it something they're still doing? Are they still stockpiling their guns? Are they still, doing this illegal activity that ended their profit before? It's scary. It's really scary to me. If I were some of the neighbors, the people living around there, I'd be terrified of these people, because that's their land and that's their law. And that's, those are the kind of people that are just really, really scary. And they happen to be religious. They haven't done anything wrong yet. But kind of on that same topic that you were going on earlier, people who instill fear, that's terrorism. And that place of theirs, they make it very known that no one's going to get onto their property, and they make it very clear that they're not going to let anyone know what's going on in their property, and that's scary. It's definitely, to me, a terroristic group that we don't know. At any moment, they can up and just kill everyone there in that little city, instantly take over their land. I don't know. They could do anything. Because we don't exactly know why they're planning on all these stockpiling of weapons and all that stuff. So, we've got these cults, we've got these sects, we've got these sovereign citizens that want to stand their ground, and their land is their land. It's not your land. You're not going to tell them what to do. They're going to have all the guns they want to have. They're going to break the law any way they want to break it, and we don't call these people terrorists. And that's weird to me. Even me, I'm guilty of it right now. I'm calling them sovereign citizens. I'm calling them everything else but what they fucking really are. But we have these people here and we don't do anything. We don't do anything about it. We just say, well, let them be, and when they break the law, I guess we'll get to them. But the truth of the matter is, when they do break the law, we don't get to them, as in this case in Oregon, depending on the color of their skin.
Yeah, to expand a bit on what you're talking about, for those who may be a little too young to remember, or those who are not familiar with the incident in Waco, what Miss Allie is talking about is the standoff with the Branch Davidians right outside Waco, Texas, that took place, I want to say 93, 94, somewhere in that range, somewhere in the 90s. I'm probably off on the date. And their leader, who changed his name to David Koresh, I don't remember his actual name offhand. He had a standoff with federal agents. Janet Reno was involved. Huge standoff. Killed 76 people, including several federal agents during the standoff. And it was over their stockpiling of weaponry that was obtained illegally in this country. And yes, there are legal and illegal ways to obtain weaponry in this country. You can legally own guns. There's a legal way to go about it. And there are certain types of guns you just can't own, especially fully automatic rifles. So this was a terrible event. What a lot of people just want to say, oh, well, that was a cult, like Jonestown, and the Jonestown massacre. That was just this sort of cult fringe thing. What a lot of people don't want to recognize is that the Branch Davidians are actually just a splinter group of the Seventh-day Adventists. They're part of the Adventist movement. The Adventist movement also includes Mormons. I get a lot of flack on my book, The Bible in a Nutshell, because when I talk about the Adventist movement, I talk about Mormons and or Jehovah's Witnesses, and people don't understand that this is all part of the Adventist movement. It's all one big movement that has many different branches, and it's a very, very difficult topic to really explain to people. But these are still technically Christians. Whether you want to consider them a cult or not, that's fine. I consider most Christian groups a cult. But labeling them as a cult is simply a matter of acceptance and the amount of members you have. I mean, Mormonism was originally considered a cult, and now is considered a an accepted religion, and it's mostly due to the amount of membership and general acceptance. So it's a big issue, and it all stems from religion. Excuse me. These beers are getting to me. um, and it comes down to uh, doctrinal interpretation, between these different groups. Baptists interpret the Bible one way, Southern Baptists interpret it a different way, Church of Christ interprets it another way, Catholics another way, but they're all Christians and they all have the same Bible, and it's just a matter of how they choose to accept certain parts and cherry pick it to their own personal liking, and how it works out for them and in their best interest. So it's still a religious issue, and just because you want to say that this is the fringe or this is a cult doesn't change the fact of where the motivation and where the justification comes from. It still comes from the same book. It still comes from the same source. So it's all a bigger issue, and that's why people that are anti-theistic, and I hate the label of anti-theist because the language has meaning, and when you say that you're an anti-theist, theists are people, and so what you're saying is you're anti-religious people, and I'm not against religious people. I'm against religious ideology. So I'm anti-religious. I'm not anti-theist of any sort. I'm not against people. I'm against an ideology. But the reason that we're here, and the reason that we do what we do, and the reason that we talk about these things is because there is a very real problem, and it stems from religion. And that's not to say it's the only problem, but there is a problem, and it needs to be addressed. And for the most part, most people aren't willing to address it.
Yeah, I do want to add that at the compound, they made it very clear that they were not branch Davidians anymore. They do have a leader, okay, but he's not a prophet. And even though their original compound was still there on their property, the damage was all still there. The pool was still on the ground. I mean, everything still there, but they had houses built around it where it was still a compound. Their land was still a compound. A lot of the things that they wanted to make very clear, I didn't believe for a second. It was quite an experience. So if you haven't, if you are too young to know about David Koresh or the Branch Davidians, Seventh-day Adventists, please do research that and look that up. It's fascinating, and being able to go there was just wow. It was truly amazing. But oh, I'm not going to mention anymore. We're going to get back on topic. But yeah, I mean, we have these groups. And we don't do anything about it. And it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if these Branch Davidians happen to be Black, or if they happen to be brown, skin of any sort, and we didn't appreciate their branch. They worshipped a different God. It wasn't Christianity. How would this go? Would this still go the same way? Would they still be allowed to have their little compound there with their scary little signs, their dogs, huge Great Pyrenees dog, approached me? It was really creepy, but yeah, and they have these dogs, have all this stuff. Would they still be allowed that? And I was reading a book called Why We Left Islam, and it's a book that's compiled of a whole bunch of different essays from people, ex-Muslims, and I cried. Literally every single page will make you cry. You should definitely read that book. I forgot the name of the author, John Robinson, maybe. I'm so sorry if I'm wrong, but Why We Left Islam. I was reading that book, and they actually said that there are compounds here in America and different places set up where they do train people to be Islamic extremists. So I don't know how much stock I can put in that because I've never actually been there myself, but if the government found these compounds, if they found them and they happened to be, how would we handle it then? Are we still going to handle it the same way we handle the way that the Branch Davidians are set up now? Would this still be acceptable behavior? They're outrageously left alone. The police know about them and leave them absolutely the fuck alone because they're terrified of these people. These are the kind of people who, if you pull them over, and a lot of sovereign citizens write on their driver's license, just so that they can't identify for the police. And I'm going to start calling them terrorists. A lot of American terrorists write a little message on their driver's license that say, like, this is my property, this is my car, I have the right to be, I don't know the exact writing, but they do. And I'm going to post a link to American Terrorism explanation where a cop is kind of letting you know how they identify these people. But once police do identify these people are known to kill police officers who are trying to give them a ticket. These people will absolutely blow them away with the illegal guns they keep in their car, because they have the right to bear arms. They have the right to protect their property. These people are fucking scary. So in Waco, especially, the cops are like, fuck, man, y'all do what you want to do. We're going to do what we want to do. And I wonder if their skin were a different color, if that would still be the same.
Well, a great way to highlight this, and a page that I follow by an author named Tim Wise shared an article highlighting the difference between how these things go. And 30 years ago, a similar standoff between police and a black anti-government group in Philadelphia played out a lot differently than how this current standoff or many of the other standoffs with white Hatriots have played out. Armed members of a fringe liberation group called MOVE were bombed and burned alive for directing their weapons at police. Okay, bombed and burned alive for directing their weapons at police during an armed occupation of a federal building. That's how that played out 30 years ago. And that's why when we were talking earlier, I said 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years, because nothing's really changed. It would play out the same way today. Because the reason that there is a hashtag Black Lives Matter is because some people have to be reminded that, hey, the color of your skin does not mean that you don't mean anything. Some people have to be reminded of that. And that's terrible. Well, why should anyone have to be reminded that the color of your skin does not mean that your life is worthless? But some people do. It's a very odd thing. And there is still a lot of racial tension in this country on both sides of the fence. I will not be the guy that says, oh, it's all because of white people. It's not. There are plenty of black folks who just can't stand white folks. They can't. And there's not necessarily any justification in that, but to some degree I kind of understand it. We're talking about years and years of perpetual racism, violence, and ignorance and hatred. It's hard to get over that. And we're making it even harder when black people can be murdered in the streets and the cops who do the murdering can go about their business like nothing ever fucking happened. It makes it worse. And it's not fixing the problem. It's not addressing the issue. It just isn't. And it's an issue that has to be addressed. Now, the reason that people like these militiamen have so many supporters is because of people like Ted fucking Cruz and Mike fucking Huckabee and Carly fucking Fiorino. These are the new American Hatriots. They're not fucking patriots. They're Hatriots. all of their rhetoric, all of their bullshit is built on hatred and fear. That's what they're about. They put hatred and fear out there, and people eat it up because people are quick to be afraid. The news media wants to show us all the worst humanity has to offer, and people are afraid. People are afraid of people. And people are definitely afraid of people who aren't just like them. People that are a little different definitely instill a different amount of fear in others. And so when you get people like Ted Cruz and Huckabee and Fiorino and even Ben Carson fucking playing this card, and I don't even want to mention Trump. I I think Trump's a fucking joke. I'm hoping that he was a plant put in there by the Democrats to ruin the Republican Party. Um, Regardless, I'm sure that's a crazy ass conspiracy theory, but still, that's what I'm hoping for because he's a fucking joke, and it's just horrible. But people like Cruz and Huckabee and Fiorino, I know that they actually believe the dumb shit that they say. Like they really buy into that nonsense. And when they put it out there, like I watch them speak. Like I watched Ted Cruz speak, and I'm like, oh wow, Stalin and Hitler would be proud of you, motherfucker. You know how to rabble rouse like a motherfucker, man. You have got people standing up, fucking going ape shit for the bullshit that you were slinging out there. And nobody's looking it up. Nobody's fact checking it. Nobody's testing it against reality. These people are just eating it up left and right because that's the people who fucking say what those people already wanted to hear. They already wanted to hear that shit, and now somebody's justifying it for them. It's beautiful. They can just move right in and just be like, oh, I feel so comfy because now I've got these, you know, supposedly educated and fucking intelligent people to back me up, and they're not. Ted Cruz is not an educated and intelligent person. When you deny climate change, you're an idiot. That's idiotic. That means that you have no understanding of anything. You know his understanding of scientific consensus is less than my 8-year-old's, and that's sad. But people actually tell me, oh well, Cruz would be great for this country. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? He's already been in Congress, and look what he did. Look what he's done while he's in Congress. He's already fucked this country up enough. Don't put him into a position where he could fuck up our relations with other countries even more than they already are. I'm like, why? No, he's not a viable candidate. No one in the Republican Party is a viable candidate. No one. It's a sad fucking day when Jeb Bush is the most reasonable fucking candidate that you have to offer. Okay, I would take Jeb Bush over any of the other candidates from the Republican Party, and I'm still just like, oh, please no, no, not Bush, not Jeb, But I'd take him over Cruz, Huckabee, Fiorino, or fucking any of them in a heartbeat, because crazy as it sounds, he's the most reasonable out of all of them. That's fucked up. That's the fucked up world we live in. I don't know. I can't stand these Hatriots. I'm writing a book about it, people. Y'all should read the book when it comes out. It'll be out later this year. It'll be fun. Trying to sway some voters, man.
That'd be great. My biggest one that I hate the most. I mean, Trump is funny to laugh at. So and South Park did an episode where he became he was a leader in Canada, and they were like, it started off as a joke and then it just got out of hand. And that's exactly how I feel about Trump here. As he started off as a joke, now this is just getting out of hand. Anyone who says, well, he actually has some good points, fuck you. I'm sorry. Apparently you don't know what a good point is. But the one that I hate the most is Mike Huckabee. He is very, very dangerous, if you ask me. And the support he puts in absolute insane people. And I'm drunk right now, so I'm sorry if I'm babbling. But Kim Davis, Are you kidding me, America? So this is another terrorist, okay, who decides that, well, they put me in charge over here, so I'm going to break the law and I'm going to do things my way because it's my God's way. And no one gets to do anything because that they want to do as long as it doesn't match what I want them to do. And Mike Huckabee says, fuck yeah, Kim Davis. That's exactly the way it should be. You know what, Kim Davis? We should not follow laws that we don't like. Quote from Mike Huckabee. Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
We should not follow laws that we don't like. So, I mean, I wonder, Mr. Huckabee, if you're president, can I abide by that same thing? Can Casper and I start growing weed in our backyards and our property since we don't like the law that we can't? Can I start going 90 miles an hour on the road out there because I don't like your speed limits? That's fucking ridiculous. Don't follow the laws you don't like. So this is the kind of shit that people say. And if you follow them, and if you think that, oh, well, maybe that was a bad thing, but this other thing is a good thing, you're still a fucking idiot. Because even Hitler liked animals, okay? Even Hitler was an animal activist. So if you want to sit there and say, well, Hitler's not all that bad because he did like the puppies and kittens, fuck you. Like, you're a fucking moron. And that's exactly how I feel about anybody who says, well, Huckabee still says some good things. No, because when you look at the terrorist fucking comments that he makes and the just insane fucking bullshit that he throws out there, that you can't band-aid that up with anything else. There's no band-aid to cover that bullet hole, okay? And if you think that there is, you know, survival of the fittest here, Darwin's law, you need to go choke on one or something because you're fucking stupid. So I can't stand anyone who supports or follows Huckabee the most. The others, it's hilarious. If I find a Trump supporter, I have to troll them somehow. I think he's great too. No, it's just funny. But Huckabee, I can't even. I literally can't even.
We know it's impossible to put your faith into a person who says, "Oh, you only have to follow the laws that you like," as a president, because one of the jobs of our president is to make sure that our country, in our dealings with other countries, abides by international law. And if you believe that citizens in this country only have to follow the laws they like, how can I trust you to abide by international laws as a president when it comes to our international relations? And then the whole reason those laws exist is so that people are not turning other countries into glass parking lots. That's why they're there, so that people don't blow each other up. And you're going to go, well, no, I don't like that fucking international law, so we're not going to do it. What? Really? Okay, that sounds great.
I mean, like, who the fuck do you think you are? That's I can't even. I'm sorry. That is so fucking ignorantly bold. I can't even stand it.
I'm hoping that we can get a Mars colony set up before this fucking planet explodes. I'm all for it. Like, if somebody can show me a real viable option and I can get the hell out of here, let's go.
Yeah.
I pray for aliens to show up. If I actually prayed, I would pray for aliens to show up and just be like, okay, do you believe in God? Raise your hand. Everybody who raises their hand, like, okay, you guys, you stay here. Everybody who didn't raise your hand, get on the fucking ship. We're getting y'all out of here. This is not safe territory for you people. These people are going to kill each other. And if you want to get out, like, we got a ship. Let's go. Let's get the fuck out. I don't know. So, yeah, Christian terrorists, man, that's where we're at in the United States, and people don't want to talk about it because can't offend Christians. There's apparently already a war on Christianity, even though, you know, Like 85% of the fucking population here is Christian, but hey, there's a war against by the 15% fucking minority against the fucking majority, and they're somehow being infringed upon and impugned upon. It's laughable.
We're
But
incredible. I mean, can you imagine how powerful we must be to be able to fight all of these Christians? It's incredible. I tell you, we must be absolutely amazing at what we do. And you know what's sad? As a Christian, and I have a friend who's like this. She's an avid Christian, and she'll tell me off whenever I start putting down her religion on my timeline. But these people think, yeah, you 25%, you absolutely are terrorizing us, and that's because we're so nice and we're so loving and we're so giving that you guys overpower us, and that's how it's done. And it's like, what? Saying that your idea is stupid, it makes, and I never just come out and say this idea is stupid. I mean, like, I definitely put some thought into what I say, but putting down something that you believe in one way or another, that makes me, I'm terrorizing. It's a war. I have shot a bullet, and it's crazy.
yeah, I definitely say it's stupid. I wrote a blog called I'm a fucking wizard, and I straight up told fucking the Catholic Church that you guys are fucking insane. You think that you can create wizards in seminary school by teaching them magic incantations where they can turn fucking bread and wine into fucking literal body and blood of Christ and then engage in ritual cannibalism. That's fucking nuts. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Sorry, you guys are fucking whack jobs. Where the fuck are you at in life? Yeah, I don't care anymore. Like, I've just gotten to the point where I, I'm right there with Hitchens. I don't care if you're fucking offended. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't hurt my feelings one bit if you're fucking offended. Please be offended, get angry, tell me off, what the fuck ever. I don't care. That's not a valid fucking argument. Oh, I'm offended. Yeah, whatever. Give a shit. Here's some butthurt cream. Shut the fuck up. Come back with an argument. You know, I'm done being nice with these people, and I've already got to deal with fucking regressive leftists in the atheist community like CJ Worrellman and fucking Greenwald and all these fucking asshats out here and the Young Turks. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I got to deal with this with my own fucking people. Like, I'm through being nice. I'm done with it. You
Yep.
don't get nice from me anymore. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up because we're pushing on an hour, and people get tired of listening to us rant. I think, I don't know. We've had a really good viewership tonight, though, man. We fucking great. Loving all the folks that are watching the show. Thanks for your support, and thanks for watching this. And as always, the opinions of myself and Miss Allie are not representative of the Atheist Republic, although we are sponsored by the Atheist Republic and we do play a major role in that organization. We do not speak for the entire organization as a whole. We have over 300 members, and these are international members from all around the world, and we all have different opinions and different viewpoints. So, excuse me, if if you have a disagreement with anything that I or Miss Allie say, please direct those disagreements towards us at our Facebook page, Devils in God's Country, in the YouTube comments below. If you're watching this after the live video here, if you want to comment and tell us, you know, what pieces of shit we are, please let us know. We always love the hate mail. And we'll definitely try to respond to you in future broadcasts. So, as the old saying goes, I'll make you famous. If you would like to support the Atheist Republic in any way, shape, or form, be it financially or just being a part of the organization, helping out, doing your part, speaking out, please visit atheistrepublic.com/volunteer, and you can volunteer with our team, or just go to atheistrepublic.com and you can offer a financial donation, because you know what we do is not free, and we love doing it and we want to continue doing it. So we could use a little support and a little help doing that. We don't expect 10% like the church. So, if it's just $1, that's fine. We love every bit. We appreciate every bit, and we know that everybody can't help. So if you can't, just be a part, man. This is a community, and we want everybody to be a part and feel welcome here. So if you want to be a part, you know how to do it. Just follow the links, atheistrepublic.com. Check us out on Facebook, Devils in God's Country. This has been episode 11, and I am Casper Rigsby, and this is the lovely Miss Allie. You want to say some final thoughts there, Miss Allie?
Yeah, just bye. Thanks so much for listening to us rant again this week.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll be here again next Monday night, same time, same channel. Hopefully you enjoy it. Have a good night.